The city of Velmar stretched beneath a crimson sky, filled with tall crystal towers that reflected the light of 3 moons. It was a place of endless power and silent authority, the heart of the Velmar Dominion. On the edge of this alien capital stood a tall structure known as the Hall of Concord, built after the peace treaty between humans and the Velmar had been signed. Few humans lived here, and those who did often felt like strangers in a land that would never call them its own. Among them was a human engineer named Aaron. He had come from Earth as part of a peace exchange, a small step toward unity after decades of war. Aaron worked in the Dominion's energy division, studying alien technology that powered entire cities. Though the Velmar considered humans physically weak, they admitted that humans had strange ways of solving problems. Aaron's calm nature and quiet determination had earned him a small measure of respect among his alien colleagues. That morning, the sound of a deep horn echoed through the streets. The vibrations rolled through the air like thunder. Aaron looked up from his work and saw a pair of armored guards waiting at the entrance to his quarters. Their armor shimmered with faint blue light, and their faces were hidden behind smooth helmets. "Human Aaron," one of them said. "The Empress commands your presence in the Grand Hall." Aaron froze. The Empress was the supreme ruler of the Dominion, her word above all law. No human had ever been called before her. For a moment, Aaron wondered if he had done something wrong, but the guards' expressions revealed nothing. They simply gestured for him to follow. As Aaron walked through the wide marble corridors of the Imperial Palace, he felt the weight of countless eyes upon him. Alien courtiers, tall and elegant, whispered among themselves. Their glowing eyes reflected both curiosity and disdain. To them, humans were a fragile species trying to find a place among giants. The Grand Hall was unlike anything Aaron had ever seen. Pillars carved from living crystal rose into a ceiling, filled with drifting orbs of light. The air carried a scent like rain mixed with metal. At the far end of the hall stood the Empress herself, seated upon a throne that seemed to be grown from the very stone of the world. Her presence was overwhelming. She was tall and graceful, her skin carrying a faint shimmer like moonlight on water. A long mantle of silver threads trailed behind her seat, moving as if alive. Aaron stopped at the edge of the ceremonial steps. He bowed deeply, his heart pounding. The hall was silent. The alien nobles stood along the sides, watching this strange meeting. No one dared speak. The Empress's voice filled the space, smooth and powerful. "You are Aaron of Earth." "Yes, Your Majesty," Aaron said, keeping his eyes lowered. "I am honored to stand before you." "You are one of the few humans who have earned the trust of my scholars," she continued. "Your work in energy adaptation has prevented shortages in 3 outer colonies." "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did my duty." The Empress studied him for a moment. "Tell me, human, do you believe peace between our races will last?" Aaron hesitated. The question carried danger. He could feel every noble watching, waiting for him to speak. "Peace is fragile, Your Majesty," he said at last. "It depends on trust, and trust must be built, not commanded." The Empress's golden eyes flickered with a faint light. "A bold answer," she said. "Few of your kind would speak with such honesty in this hall." Aaron remained silent. He knew any wrong word could end his life here. Then the Empress stood, her long robe rippling like liquid light. The chamber seemed to grow smaller as her power filled the air. "The time for half measures is over," she said. "Our worlds stand at the edge of uncertainty. The Council wishes for new alliances, ones that will endure beyond treaties and paper promises." She raised her hand, and the crowd of nobles straightened. "I have chosen a path that will unite our bloodlines and silence all doubt." Her next words struck like thunder. "The daughter of my house, Princess Nira, will be bound in marriage to this human Aaron of Earth." A gasp swept through the hall. The sound was sharp and full of shock. The nobles turned to one another, their voices rising in disbelief. Marry a human? To them it was unthinkable. The royal line of Velmar was sacred. Their blood was said to carry the light of ancient stars. To bind it with a human's was beyond insult, it was heresy. Aaron stood frozen. He thought he had misheard. "Your Majesty," he began carefully, "I do not understand." The Empress looked down upon him, her expression calm but final. "You will. This union will be the symbol of lasting peace. It will bind our species as one. My daughter will wed you, and through that bond no voice shall question our alliance." One of the council lords stepped forward, his face pale with fury. "Your Majesty, this cannot be allowed. A human is unworthy of royal blood." The Empress's gaze turned toward him, sharp as a blade. "Are you questioning my will, Lord Thalin?" The noble fell to his knees at once. "Never, my Empress. I only seek to protect the sanctity of your line." "The sanctity of our line," she said slowly, "is strengthened by courage, not fear. This human has proven both skill and restraint. Perhaps that is what our kind needs most." No one dared speak again. The hall fell into silence, broken only by the hum of the energy lights above. Aaron felt the air grow heavy. Every instinct told him to refuse, but he could not. To deny an imperial order would mean execution. Still, he tried to speak with care. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady, "I am honored by your trust, but your daughter may not wish such a union. I would never force her hand." The Empress's eyes softened slightly. "You speak with respect. That will serve you well. The princess will meet you tomorrow. Until then, you will remain within the palace. Guards will escort you." The guard stepped forward. Aaron bowed again, his mind racing. As he turned to leave, he could still feel the piercing eyes of the nobles following him. To them, he was not a man, but a living insult to their pride. When he reached the outer balcony, the sky was turning darker. The city light shimmered like a sea of fire below. Aaron placed his hand on the railing, breathing deeply. He had worked for peace, but he never thought it would demand this. Marriage to the alien princess, the daughter of the Empress herself, was not a reward. It was a test, one that could destroy him or perhaps change everything. Inside the palace, whispers spread through every hall. Servants and guards spoke in hushed tones. Some pitied the human, others cursed his name. But one figure stood alone in a quiet chamber, listening to the news with narrowed eyes. Princess Nira, heir to the throne, had just returned from the outer colonies where she commanded fleets in defense of her people. She was tall and strong, with silver markings across her temples, symbols of royal blood. Her eyes glowed faintly with the same gold as her mother's, but sharper, colder. When the messenger finished speaking, she stood still for a long moment. "A human," she said at last. Her voice carried both disbelief and anger. "My mother has lost her reason." "The Empress's order is absolute," the messenger replied. The council protested, but she silenced them. Nira turned away, her hand curling into a fist. "I have fought wars for this empire. I have shed blood for our honor. And now she expects me to marry a creature from a world barely out of its infancy." She walked to the tall window overlooking the city. The view was beautiful, but it brought her no peace. "What does she see in him?" she asked quietly. The messenger said nothing. He knew there was no safe answer. "Leave me," she commanded. When the room was empty, Nira stood alone with her thoughts. Part of her wanted to defy the order, but she knew her mother's word was law. Even she could not refuse it without causing a division that might shatter the empire. Still, she swore to herself that she would never let this human think he could claim her heart. If the marriage had to happen, it would remain a political bond, nothing more. That night, Aaron was shown to a guest chamber deep within the palace. The walls glowed with soft blue light, and the air was filled with the faint hum of energy crystals. He sat on the edge of the bed, trying to calm his thoughts. Every step of his journey had led him to this place, yet he felt trapped between fear and duty. He remembered the faces of the nobles, the burning anger in their eyes. He could already sense what would come. Many would want him gone. Some might even try to remove him by force. But he had no choice except to face whatever the Empress intended. He had come to build peace, and perhaps this was the only path left. As he looked out the window, he saw the reflection of 3 moons above the city. Their light bathed the alien world in silver and red. In that moment, he made a quiet promise to himself. If he must live among the Velmar, he would not live in fear. He would prove that humanity was worthy of respect, not through violence, but through strength of will. Far away, the Empress watched the same moons from her private chamber. Her advisors warned that this decision could bring unrest, but she ignored their fears. She had seen something in that human's eyes, a steadiness, a kind of courage that her own people had begun to lose. Perhaps the future of both species depended on that single spark. The night grew quiet. The city lights dimmed one by one. Somewhere in the grand palace, a human dreamed of survival, while an alien princess dreamed of defiance. Neither of them knew that fate had already begun to weave their lives together, and by morning both worlds would never be the same again. The sun of Elmaris rose with a deep red glow that painted the palace towers in shades of gold and fire. The morning air was filled with the hum of energy crystals as the great city awakened. Inside the palace, servants hurried through marble halls, preparing for a day unlike any other. Word of the Empress's command had spread through every corridor. The alien princess would soon meet her human husband-to-be. Aaron woke early. He had barely slept during the night. Thoughts of the Empress's words replayed in his mind again and again. Every sound outside his chamber reminded him that he was not among his own kind. Still, he rose, washed, and dressed in the ceremonial clothes provided by the palace. The fabric shimmered faintly under the light, woven with silver threads. It felt strange against his skin, but elegant in a way that made him feel smaller among giants. 2 guards waited outside his door. Without speaking, they motioned for him to follow. Their steps were silent, their movements precise. Aaron walked behind them through long corridors decorated with carvings of battles and ancient victories. He could feel the pride and power of the civilization in every stone, yet beneath that beauty was coldness, a sense that everything here existed under strict order. The guards stopped before a tall door of black metal. Its surface pulsed with faint light reacting to their presence. One guard pressed his hand against a symbol and the door opened soundlessly. Inside was a vast chamber filled with soft light and the scent of flowers from another world. Standing near the window, gazing at the city below, was Princess Nira. She turned as Aaron entered. Her presence struck him like a wave. She was tall, graceful, and carried herself with the confidence of a warrior. Her silver markings glowed faintly against her skin, and her golden eyes shone like molten metal. Her clothing was light armor, not silk or jewels. It was clear she was not a woman of comfort, but of strength. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence stretched between them like a drawn blade. "You are the human," she said at last. Her voice was steady, but there was no warmth in it. "Yes, Princess," Aaron said, bowing respectfully. "I am Aaron of Earth. It is an honor to meet you." She studied him for a long moment, her gaze sharp and searching. "Honor," she repeated. "You use that word easily. Do you understand what it means to stand before the blood of the Empress?" "I do," Aaron said quietly. "And I understand that your people see me as unworthy of that honor." Her eyes narrowed. "At least you are aware." Aaron did not flinch. "Awareness is the first step toward understanding, Princess." Nira turned away, looking out the window once more. "You speak well for a human, but words do not change what you are. You come from a world of short lives and simple dreams. My mother believes this union will bring peace. I believe it will bring only trouble." "I did not ask for this," Aaron said carefully, "but I will respect your mother's will, and I will not dishonor you." "You cannot dishonor me," she said sharply. "You are not of my kind," Aaron said nothing. He knew arguing would be pointless. Her pride was not arrogance, but something deeper, an inheritance of a people who had ruled the stars for centuries. He could not match her in power or history, but he could match her in sincerity. "Why do you think your mother chose me?" he asked after a pause. Nira turned her gaze toward him again, surprised by the question. "Perhaps she wishes to test me. Perhaps she wishes to humiliate the council. Or perhaps she has grown tired of hearing their endless pride. Whatever her reason, it is not love." "I did not expect love," Aaron said. "Only a chance to serve peace." Her expression softened for a moment, then hardened again. "You speak of peace as if it is a thing that can be built by marriage. You do not know what peace costs?" "Perhaps not," he said. "But I know what war costs. I have seen it destroy homes, worlds, and hope. If this union can prevent even one more battle, then I will endure whatever comes." Nira watched him quietly. There was no fear in his voice, only calm resolve. It puzzled her. She had met many who claimed bravery, but their courage often came with arrogance. This human spoke as if he had nothing to prove, and that unsettled her more than anger ever could. Finally, she said, "You will not find friends here, Aaron of Earth. The court despises you. The soldiers laugh at you, and I, the one you are told to marry, do not believe you belong in this palace." Aaron nodded. "I understand. And yet you stand here. Because leaving would mean failure," he said. "And humans have a strange habit of standing even when they should fall." For the first time, Nira almost smiled. It was faint, quick, gone before he could be sure he saw it. "We shall see if that habit keeps you alive," she said. "The council will not make this easy." "I do not expect them to," Aaron replied. "But I will face what comes." Nira turned away again, ending the conversation. "You may go," she said. "My mother will decide when the next step of this Arrangement begins. Aaron bowed once more and left the chamber. As he walked down the hall, the guards followed without speaking. But one of them, an older soldier with silver plating on his armor, gave him a long look, half curiosity, half pity. Aaron wondered how long it would take before one of them tried to remove him quietly. Later that day, Aaron was escorted to a small garden within the palace grounds. The air was warm and filled with the sound of flowing water. Strange plants grew here, their leaves glowing faintly under the light. He sat on a stone bench trying to clear his thoughts. Every step he took in this palace felt like walking through glass. One wrong move could shatter everything. A voice spoke behind him. "You must enjoy solitude, human." Aaron turned to see Lord Thalen, the same noble who had protested in the grand hall. His eyes glowed with cold amusement. He wore dark robes and carried himself with the confidence of one who believed he owned the world. "I was told to remain here," Aaron said calmly. "Of course you were," Thalen said. "The Empress keeps her pets close." Aaron met his gaze but did not speak. He knew an insult when he heard one, but he also knew that showing anger would only please the noble. Thalen walked closer. "You think this union will give your people power?" "It will not. When this farce ends, you will be forgotten, and your world will remain beneath us." Aaron's voice remained quiet. "Then it is a good thing I am not here for power." Thalen's expression darkened. "Careful, human. You walk on the edge of a blade." "I know," Aaron said, "but I am not afraid of falling." Thalen's eyes flashed with irritation. For a moment Aaron thought he might strike him, but the noble only smirked. "We shall see how long that courage lasts. The Empress may protect you now, but protection fades. Remember that." He turned and left the garden. Aaron exhaled slowly. Every encounter in this place felt like a test. Yet he had survived another one without losing his temper. That, he decided, was progress. Far above in her private training hall, Princess Nira stood before a line of armored warriors. She gripped a silver spear, its edge glowing faintly with heat. Her movements were swift and precise, every strike echoing against the floor. Sweat glistened on her skin as she finished the last form, her breathing steady. The warriors bowed, acknowledging her skill. But she barely saw them. Her mind was elsewhere. She could not stop thinking about the human. His calmness unsettled her more than open defiance would have. He did not beg or boast. He did not act like a fool who thought himself special. He simply accepted what had come to him with quiet strength. That kind of composure belonged to warriors, not engineers. Her friend and bodyguard, Commander Ral, approached. "You are restless, Princess." "I am not restless," she said, though her tone betrayed a hint of unease. "I am confused." Ral tilted his head. "Because of the human?" Nira frowned. "He does not act like one." Ral smiled faintly. "You have fought humans before, have you not? You must know some of them have fire inside." "I have fought them," she said. "Most died quickly. They were brave, yes, but foolish. This one is different. He faces us without weapon or rank, yet he does not tremble." "Perhaps that is why the Empress chose him," Ral said. Nira sighed. "Perhaps. Or perhaps my mother wishes to remind us that courage does not belong to one race alone." She looked out through the tall windows. The city lights flickered as night began to fall again. In the distance, the towers of Velmaris shone like blades under the moons. Somewhere down there, the human was walking through her mother's palace, surrounded by those who hated him, and yet he still stood. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "the council will demand that he prove himself. They will not accept this union without a trial." Ral bowed. "Shall I prepare the arena?" "Yes," she said. "Let them test him. Let them see what this human truly is." That night, Aaron stood at the balcony of his chamber once more. The city below glowed with silent fire. He could feel the wind carrying the scent of metal and stone. He did not know what the next day would bring, but he knew this much. He could not turn back. The Empress had chosen him for a reason, and now even the princess seemed torn between pride and doubt. Whatever came next, he would face it as he always had, with quiet strength and steady heart. Far above, the stars of Velmaris burned bright, watching silently as two lives, so different yet bound by fate, began to move toward each other. The morning of the trials came with cold winds and heavy clouds. The great arena of Velmaris stood silent at first, but soon the sound of footsteps and voices filled the air. Thousands of aliens gathered in the high terraces to watch the event that would decide the fate of one human and the honor of an empire. The Empress had declared that Aaron, The human chosen to marry her daughter must face the ancient trials of worth. Only by completing them could he be accepted by the Dominion as a true ally. Aran stood at the center of the arena wearing simple armor of pale metal. It was light, not built for heavy combat but for endurance. Around him the ground shimmered with faint energy lines forming symbols older than history. Above, the Empress watched from her throne, and beside her stood Princess Nira. Her golden eyes were calm but deep inside. She wondered if this human would survive what was to come. The voice of the herald echoed across the arena. By command of the Empress, the human Aran of Earth shall face the 3 trials of worth. The first is the trial of strength. The second is the trial of wisdom. The third is the trial of heart. Should he fail, he will be returned to his world in shame. Should he succeed, he will earn the right to stand beside the royal line. The crowd murmured. Many whispered that no human could pass even one trial. Others watched in silent curiosity, unsure of what to expect. The first gate opened. From the shadows stepped a warrior of the Velmar Guard, taller and stronger than any human could be. His armor glowed red, and in his hands he carried a long staff made of crystal and flame. This was Commander Var, champion of the arena. He had fought 100 battles and never known defeat. The herald raised his voice again. The trial of strength begins. Var saluted the Empress, then turned his gaze to Aran. I will not hold back, he said. If you fall with honor. I would expect nothing less, Aaron replied. A deep gong sounded. The duel began. Var moved first, his staff striking like lightning. Aaron barely managed to dodge. The blow cracked the ground where he had stood. Dust rose around them as Var pressed his attack again and again. Aaron was quick, but the difference in strength was overwhelming. The alien warrior's movements were precise and brutal. Every swing meant to end the fight. Aaron knew he could not match him blow for blow. He had to think differently. As Var charged again, Aaron rolled aside and grabbed a handful of sand. When the next swing came, he threw the sand toward the warrior's eyes. The fine dust clung to the glowing armor, disrupting its energy flow for a moment. The light dimmed. Aaron moved in and struck the staff with all his strength. The weapon faltered, its energy flickering. Var growled in surprise. Clever. Aaron stepped back, breathing hard. Strength is not only muscle, he said. It is how you use what you have. The warrior smiled faintly. Then use it well. They fought again, the battle lasting longer than anyone expected. Aaron avoided direct hits, using his speed and awareness to outmaneuver his opponent. He waited for small openings and struck when he could, never wasting energy. When Var's armor finally cracked under its own strain, the commander stopped. He raised his staff high and then planted it into the ground. The trial of strength is complete, he said, his voice loud enough for all to hear. The human stands. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Some shouted in anger, others in awe. Aaron bowed to Var, who returned the gesture. From her throne, the Empress's eyes glowed with satisfaction. She turned slightly toward Nira, whose expression had changed. She no longer looked at Aaron as a stranger, but as someone who had earned the right to be seen. The herald spoke again. The second trial begins. The trial of wisdom. The ground beneath Aaron shifted. The floor opened to reveal a staircase leading downward. The herald explained that the human must enter the labyrinth of light, a maze built from living crystal. Inside lay puzzles and traps that tested the mind rather than the body. The exit could only be reached by those who could read the energy of the world itself. Aaron descended into the labyrinth. The air was cool and silent. The walls glowed faintly, reflecting his movements. He walked slowly, studying each turn. Soon he reached the first puzzle. 3 stone pillars stood before him, each with glowing symbols. A voice filled the air, speaking in the Velmar tongue. 3 paths lead forward. 1 to truth, 1 to illusion, and 1 to despair. Choose wrongly and you will never leave. Aaron studied the symbols. He did not understand their meaning, but he noticed the pattern of light. 2 of the pillars pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. The third pulsed against it. He remembered something from his studies of Velmar energy systems. Their technology often mirrored natural cycles. He took a deep breath and stepped toward the pillar that moved with his pulse. The ground opened, revealing a glowing bridge of light. He crossed it carefully. Behind him, the other 2 paths crumbled into shadow. He smiled faintly. 1 step done, he whispered. The next challenge was harder. He entered a chamber where a pool of liquid light reflected his image. From the surface rose 3 versions of himself, each identical but slightly different in movement. A voice spoke again. "One of you is real. 2 are false. Strike the false ones and the path will open." Aaron looked at his reflections. Each moved as he did except one. That one blinked slower than he did. He realized that the illusions were perfect mirrors, but the real reflection would carry delay due to the living energy's reaction. Without hesitation, he struck the slow one. The other 2 vanished, and the wall before him opened to reveal the exit. When Aaron stepped back into the sunlight, the crowd gasped. Few had ever solved the labyrinth so quickly. The herald raised his arms. "The trial of wisdom is complete," the Empress nodded with pride. Even some of the nobles who had mocked Aaron now looked uneasy. Nira stood silent, watching him return to the center of the arena. She could no longer deny his resolve. There was strength in his quiet mind that her people rarely noticed in themselves. The herald's voice rang out again. "The final test begins." The trial of heart. The arena grew still. The sky darkened as energy gathered above. This trial was different from the others. It was not about skill or intelligence. It was about truth of spirit. The Empress rose and spoke so all could hear. "In this final trial," she said, "the challenger will face illusions drawn from his own fears. He must choose not between victory and loss, but between what is right and what is easy." The energy around Aaron shimmered, and suddenly he was no longer standing in the arena. The world around him changed. He found himself standing on a battlefield. The ground was scorched, the air thick with smoke. He saw human soldiers and alien warriors fighting together, falling together. In the distance, he saw a small figure, a child trapped under debris calling for help. At the same time, another voice echoed in his mind. "The core of the trial lies within the temple to the east. Reach it and you will win. Fail and all ends." Aaron looked from the temple to the child. The choice was clear. If he ran to the temple, he might finish the trial and live. If he helped the child, he might lose everything. He hesitated for only a heartbeat before running toward the child. The debris was heavy, but he pushed and pulled with all his strength. His arms ached, but he kept going until the child was free. The battlefield vanished. The light returned. Aaron was standing once again in the arena, breathing hard. The crowd was silent. Before him stood the Empress. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. "You chose compassion over victory," she said softly, "even when you knew it might end your life." Aaron nodded. "No victory is worth more than a life," the Empress smiled. "Then you have passed the trial of heart." The arena erupted with sound. This time even some of the nobles clapped. The Empress raised her hand and the noise faded. She stood tall, her voice carrying across the entire city. "Let it be known," she declared, "that the human Aaron of Earth has proven his worth in strength, wisdom, and heart. From this day forward, he stands as a true ally of the Dominion." The people bowed their heads. Nira looked at Aaron, her expression unreadable. When the ceremony ended, she approached him as the arena emptied. "You have surprised everyone," she said quietly. "Even me." "I'm not here to surprise," Aaron replied. "Only to do what must be done." "You faced a champion and a labyrinth, and yet you still risked your life for an illusion," she said. "Why?" "Because it did not feel like an illusion," he said. "The heart cannot tell the difference, and that is what matters most." Nira looked at him for a long moment. "Perhaps there is more to your kind than I thought." Aaron smiled faintly. "Perhaps there is more to yours as well." She almost smiled back, then turned away. "Rest now, human. You have earned it. But know this. The trials may be over, yet the hardest test is still to come. My people will not accept you easily." "I know," he said. "But peace was never meant to be easy." As night fell, the arena lights dimmed and the city of Velmaris glowed beneath the stars. The Empress watched from her balcony, a quiet satisfaction in her heart. For the first time in many years, she felt hope for both her people and the humans. In the distance, Aaron stood at the edge of the arena, looking toward the alien sky. He had survived the trials, but his true journey was only beginning. The morning of the Union dawned clear and bright over the city of Velmaris. The towers reflected the sunlight, sparkling like rivers of crystal. Citizens and nobles filled the grand plazas, their faces a mix of curiosity, disbelief, and pride. Some whispered that a human marrying into the royal family was a mistake. Others wondered if this alliance could finally bring lasting peace. At the heart of the city, the palace had transformed into a place of beauty and ceremony. Flags of gold and silver fluttered from every balcony, and the air was scented with flowers imported from distant planets. Aaron stood in the preparation chamber, dressed in ceremonial robes of white and silver. The fabric was soft and light, but every stitch carried meaning. It symbolized not only his role in the Union, but also the bond between two worlds. He felt a mixture of nervousness and resolve. This was no trial, no challenge of skill or mind. This was something deeper. The eyes of an entire empire were upon him, and the princess he was to wed waited within the palace walls. 2 guards entered to escort him. Their expressions were serious, but there was respect in the way they held themselves. As Aaron walked through the corridors, the walls glimmered with living crystal responding to his presence. He could feel the energy of the palace itself acknowledging the day's importance. The halls were filled with nobles and officials, their whispers sharp but respectful. Even the Velmar soldiers who usually mocked him now looked on with curiosity. They had witnessed his courage in the trials, and the memory of his triumphs lent him a presence he did not fully feel himself. Meanwhile, Princess Nira prepared in a private chamber. She wore ceremonial robes woven from silver threads and adorned with faint glowing crystals. Her hair was braided carefully, and her armor beneath the robes was polished to perfection. She stood before a mirror, her reflection proud and serene. She did not feel joy. She did not yet feel love. She only felt the weight of duty and the uncertainty of what this union would bring. Her mother had chosen Aaron, and the Empress's word was law. There was no room for refusal. Her attendants moved quietly, adjusting her robes and decorations. Commander Raoul stood nearby, watching over her. "The human is ready," he said. "The city awaits." Nira nodded. "Yes, I know." She turned to the mirror again, her reflection revealing a thoughtful expression. "I do not know if I will respect him, but I will not dishonor him, and I will not dishonor myself. That must be enough for now." The palace doors opened, and Aaron was led into the ceremonial hall. The room was vast, filled with crystal chandeliers that glowed with soft energy. The floor was polished to reflect the figures above. At the far end of the hall, the Empress waited on her throne, her expression proud yet calm. Beside her stood Princess Nira. For a brief moment, Aaron felt the weight of every eye upon him. From the nobles in their gilded armor to the soldiers who had watched him struggle through the trials. The Empress spoke, her voice carrying across the hall. "Today marks the union of two worlds. Today human and Velmar shall be bound not only in duty but in respect and trust. Aaron of Earth, do you accept this bond?" Aaron stepped forward, bowing deeply. "I accept, Your Majesty. I will serve this union with my heart and my life." The Empress nodded, then turned her gaze to Princess Nira. "And you, my daughter, do you accept this human as your partner, knowing what is required of you?" Nira's eyes met Aaron's for the first time in the ceremony. She saw his steady expression, his calm and unwavering gaze. For a moment she felt something unfamiliar, a respect that she had not expected to feel. She straightened her posture and spoke clearly. "I accept this bond, and I will honor it as duty demands." The Empress raised her hands, and a soft light filled the hall. Energy symbols of union and harmony appeared on the floor, glowing with colors that had never been seen before. The crowd gasped. These symbols were ancient, representing the joining of life and loyalty, of two peoples learning to trust each other. The Empress spoke again. "Let this union be witnessed by all. Let the history of this day mark a new era." A hush fell over the hall as Aaron and Nira approached the central dais. The energy beneath their feet pulsed in rhythm with their steps. Aaron took Nira's hand gently, careful not to startle her. She did not pull away. The simple touch carried meaning. It was not yet love, but it was trust, the first small step toward understanding. The ceremony began with words of oath and promise. Aaron spoke first. "I promise to honor you, Princess Nira, and to uphold the peace that unites our worlds. I will face danger without fear, speak truth without hesitation, and protect life whenever I can." Nira's voice followed. "I promise to serve my people, and to respect the courage you have shown. I will not let pride blind me to wisdom, nor fear prevent me from seeing what is right. I will learn from you as you may learn from me." As their hands remained joined, the energy symbols around them glowed brighter. The crowd felt the change, a warmth and clarity spreading through the hall. Even some of the nobles who had doubted the human now nodded with quiet approval. Soldiers exchanged glances, whispering that the human had truly earned his place. Outside the palace, the city erupted in celebration. Citizens cheered from the streets, their voices carrying to the towers above. The union of human and Velmar royalty was unlike anything they had seen. Some were still skeptical, but the majority felt hope. Perhaps the alliance could finally bring an era without war, where humans and Velmar worked together as equals. Inside, the ceremony reached its climax. The Empress raised her hand and a final energy wave swept across the hall. The symbols beneath Aran and Nira's feet lifted into the air, forming a bridge of light connecting them to the Empress and the audience. "Let the world remember this day," she said. "A human and a Velmar, united not by chance but by courage and honor. Let their bond be a guide to all who come after." Nira looked at Aaron again. His gaze was steady, full of calm determination. She realized that he had faced every challenge without hesitation. He had passed the trials, endured the doubts of the council, and yet he had remained humble and true. For the first time, she felt something shift inside her, a quiet admiration, a respect for the human who dared to stand among her people. Aaron spoke softly, almost to himself. "I will not fail, Princess. I will do everything in my power to honor this union." Nira's lips pressed together briefly, her pride warring with her growing recognition of his strength. "I will not doubt you again," she said. "Not now." The Empress watched them, a faint smile on her face. She had chosen wisely. The human was not just brave, he had a heart capable of understanding the weight of responsibility. The princess, though proud and unyielding, had begun to see that courage came in many forms. As the ceremony ended, the guests approached to offer their respects. Some bowed, some spoke words of congratulations. Aaron accepted each gesture with grace, careful to show humility. Nira observed quietly. She had expected resentment or fear, but instead she saw his sincerity, his quiet dignity. It made her wonder how many humans had been dismissed too quickly, underestimated because of their differences. Later, in a private chamber, the Empress spoke to her daughter. "Do you see now, Nira? This human is not weak. He has the courage to face fear, the wisdom to understand the world, and the heart to make choices that matter. He may yet surprise you further." Nira remained silent for a moment, then nodded. "I see it, but it is not yet trust. That will take time." "Time," the Empress said, "is what we have, if both of you are willing to use it wisely." That evening, Aaron and Nira walked together in the palace gardens. The air was filled with the scent of alien flowers, and the moons reflected softly on the crystal fountains. No words were spoken at first. The human and the princess moved side by side, each feeling the weight of the day's events. Aaron glanced at Nira. "I did not expect approval from your people," he said quietly. Nira looked ahead, her expression calm. "Neither did I. I expected conflict and disdain. You have given me reason to reconsider." Aaron smiled faintly. "Then perhaps tomorrow will be easier." Nira shook her head, a small smile forming. "Do not think so. My people are stubborn. They may respect you, but respect is not the same as acceptance." "I will accept the challenge," Aaron said. "I have faced harder trials than words." For a long time they walked in silence, sharing the quiet understanding that came from shared purpose. The union of human and Velmar royalty was more than ceremony. It was the beginning of a journey that would test courage, loyalty, and trust. The Empress had made her choice, and the world was watching. As night deepened, the city of Velmaris shimmered beneath the stars. The towers glowed, reflecting the promise of a new era. Somewhere high above, the Empress looked out, her thoughts filled with hope and cautious optimism. Two lives had joined, and with them 2 worlds had begun to walk together toward a future that none could yet imagine. The human had survived the trials. The princess had begun to see beyond her pride, and the empire waited, uncertain but willing, to see what would come next. The first days of Aran and Princess Nira's union passed with both ceremony and tension. The palace was filled with whispers and careful glances. Some aliens still refused to believe a human could stand as a partner to royalty. Others were quietly impressed by Aaron's courage and calm intelligence. The Empress, satisfied that her choice had been made, watched from above. Yet even she knew that the trials of peace were far from over. True challenges came not from ceremony, but from those who opposed the alliance. It began quietly. A rebellion, small at first, rose in the outer districts of Velmaris. Citizens angry at the Empress's decree began gathering in secret, their voices filled with fear and doubt. They claimed that the human had no right to touch royal blood and that the princess should not be bound to an outsider. Messages were sent to sympathizers in the city, and whispers of revolt grew louder each night. The Empress ordered her commanders to maintain vigilance, but even they worried about the loyalty of soldiers who had never accepted Iran. Iran, however, remained calm. He had faced impossible odds in the arena, survived trials of strength, wisdom, and heart, and earned the respect of the Empress. He knew that courage alone would not be enough to quell a rebellion. Strategy, patience, and trust were required. He spent long hours with Princess Nira, discussing ways to protect the city and its citizens. She had grown to see his mind as a weapon as sharp as any blade. Together they devised plans to ensure the safety of the palace and its people, without unnecessary bloodshed. One evening, as the twin moons of Velmaris rose over the horizon, a messenger arrived with urgent news. "The rebels have gathered in the southern district," he said. "They are armed and ready to strike. If we do not act, they may reach the palace." Aaron looked at Nira. "We cannot wait for them to come to us. We must be proactive." Nira nodded. "I will lead the Velmar Guard. You will lead the strategy for defense and protection. The civilians must be shielded first." Together they moved quickly. The streets of Velmaris were lit with crystal lamps as the guards and citizens took their positions. Aaron coordinated defenses from the palace balcony, using communication devices to guide patrols and block enemy paths. He had learned the layout of the city and the way its energy flows could be manipulated. By using small energy barriers and redirecting patrols, he managed to slow the rebels without causing harm to innocents. Princess Nira led the soldiers through narrow streets and passages, positioning them strategically. Her skill in combat was unmatched, and her presence inspired the guards to act with courage and discipline. They moved as a single unit, disciplined and confident, knowing that their leaders, human and Velmar alike, were guiding them. The rebels struck as the night grew darker. They hoped to surprise the city with chaos and fear. But Aaron's planning had anticipated their moves. Energy barriers rose silently, forcing the rebels into zones where they could be disarmed without injury. Nira and her guards confronted those who resisted, using precise strikes to neutralize threats. The battle was intense, but the humans and Velmar soldiers fought together seamlessly, their coordination a display of unity. At one point, Aaron spotted a group of rebels attempting to flee with captured civilians. Without hesitation, he led a small team through hidden passages. They intercepted the rebels, freeing the captives and guiding them to safety. His calm presence and clear instructions kept panic from spreading. Even the civilians, terrified at first, found courage in his leadership. Meanwhile, Nira confronted the rebellion's leaders. They were powerful and skilled, but they underestimated her determination and the combined strength of her guards. With swift precision, she disarmed their weapons and captured them without loss of life. Her actions were decisive yet measured, earning respect even from those who opposed her. By dawn, the rebellion had been contained. The city was safe and the leaders were held in custody. The citizens of Velmaris watched as Aaron and Nira stood together side by side overlooking the streets. There was a new understanding in their eyes. The human, once considered weak, had guided them through danger with wisdom and courage. The princess, once proud and skeptical, had fought with honor and skill. Together they had proven that unity could overcome fear. The Empress called for a council meeting in the palace. Nobles, generals, and advisors gathered to witness the outcome. The Empress spoke first. "Let it be known that today the city of Velmaris has faced internal strife and emerged stronger. The human Aaron of Earth has shown that courage, wisdom, and heart are not limited to one species. He has stood beside my daughter and led with honor." A hush fell over the council. Some could not hide their astonishment. Others bowed their heads in acceptance. Aaron stepped forward. "I acted only to protect life," he said. "I did not seek glory or reward. I only sought to uphold the peace that has been entrusted to me." Nira joined him, her hand brushing his briefly. "He speaks the truth," she said. "Together we ensured the safety of our city. Together we faced fear and overcame it." The Empress's eyes shone with pride. "From this day forward, let the union of human and Velmar be a symbol of unity and courage. Let it remind all citizens that loyalty, bravery, and wisdom can come from any world." The council members murmured among themselves. Even the most skeptical nobles could not deny what had been accomplished. The human had proven his worth not through blood or title but through action. The princess had chosen to stand beside him, demonstrating that trust and respect were not bound by tradition alone. In the following weeks, Aaron and Nira worked together to rebuild trust among the people. They visited districts affected by the rebellion, helping repair homes and offering protection. The citizens, once wary, began to see humans in a new light. Children ran through the streets calling his name, and parents spoke of his courage. Even soldiers who had doubted him began to treat him with respect. The human's influence extended beyond combat and strategy. He shared knowledge of technology and energy systems, teaching the Velmar how to adapt their tools in ways that improved efficiency and safety. Nira watched him closely, impressed by the way he combined logic and care. She began to understand that his strength was not just in body or mind, but in his heart. He inspired loyalty, not fear, and he brought hope where there had been uncertainty. One evening, as the city rested under the light of the 3 moons, Nira and Aaron walked together along the palace terraces. The wind carried the scent of flowers and the soft hum of energy. They spoke quietly, sharing their thoughts and observations. "You have changed this city," Nira said. "Not with force, but with guidance and example." Aaron smiled faintly. "I did not do it alone. You led the people with courage. I only helped where I could." Nira looked at him, her golden eyes reflecting the moonlight. "I underestimated you, human. I thought your kind was fragile and unworthy of what we hold dear. But I see now that you are strong in ways we rarely recognize." Aaron looked at her. "And I see now that your people are capable of great honor and loyalty. We have much to learn from each other." For a long time they stood together in silence. The bond that had begun in ceremony and trial had deepened into understanding. Trust had grown where skepticism once ruled, and though the world around them remained uncertain, they faced it side by side, stronger together than apart. The Empress watched from her chamber, her heart filled with hope. The union she had decreed had survived its first true test. It had faced rebellion, fear, and doubt, and it had triumphed. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but with Aaron and Nira leading, the Dominion had a chance for a future brighter than any she had imagined. As the moons cast silver light over the city, citizens whispered of the human who had changed Velmaris and the princess who had embraced the courage he brought. Their story spread quickly, inspiring others to see beyond old prejudices. Humans were no longer weak outsiders. They were allies, capable of wisdom, heart, and bravery that could stand beside the strongest of the Velmar. Months later, when the city was fully healed and the people had accepted the human as part of their world, the Empress made a final proclamation. "Let it be remembered that true strength lies not in blood, wealth, or birthright. True strength lies in courage, wisdom, and compassion. Aaron of Earth has proven this. Princess Nira has proven this, and together they have shown that 2 worlds can rise as one." The citizens cheered, their voices echoing across the towers. The city glowed under the moons and stars, a symbol of unity, courage, and hope. Aaron and Nira stood together on the palace balcony, looking out over their city. They knew that challenges would come again, but they also knew that trust and unity could overcome any obstacle. The human had survived the trials, earned the respect of the princess, and guided an empire through chaos. The princess had embraced courage and partnership in ways she had never imagined, and together they had begun the rising of 2 empires, not as conquerors or rulers, but as leaders who understood that strength comes in many forms, and that unity is the greatest power of all. The stars shone above Velmaris, reflecting the hope that 2 worlds could not only coexist but flourish. The human had proven that even the smallest voice could change history. The princess had learned that courage and loyalty were not bound by tradition,